You're listening to The Foundation of Wellness, a refreshing take on diet and lifestyle, with Jessica Dogert, a registered dietitian nutritionist, and Marisa Moon, a primal health coach.
Hey you guys, my name is Jessica and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and the voice behind Mindful Musings, and you can learn all about me on my website at jessicadogert.com. So this is episode 36, and I am so excited to have this guest on our show, Nate Forse. So Nate helps people become high achievers, uncover their purpose, maximize their life, and master their bodies. So I personally know Nate through a good friend who's also my hairstylist. So Natalie was coached by Nate through his Transform in 12 program, and it was so transformational for her. So yeah, she lost this incredible amount of weight, over 40 pounds to be exact, and she gained that body shaping, metabolism boosting muscle. But I think what amazed me the most was her inner mindset shift and just reclaimed confidence. Community too. She actually started surrounding herself with people who shared similar goals as she did. And she has been so open about sharing her journey with her audience, and I admire that so much. She's an inspiration to so many others trying to pursue the same goals as she is, to just get healthier and happier and to take back control of their lives. So what I love about Nate's Transform in 12 blueprint is that there are 4 pillars to the program, and the obvious 2 to me are going to be fitness and nutrition for a healthy lifestyle, but the 2 that really catch my eye the most are going to be mindset and community. So I am so excited to introduce you to Nate. He plans to walk us through the 4 pillars, and I know that you guys are going to adore him just as much as I do. So hi Nate, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Super pumped to be here.
I'm so excited that you're joining us. So I really think before we dive deep, I wanted to ask if you could take me back to a pivotal moment for you when you realized that helping others become the best versions of themselves was your purpose and your calling in life.
Well, that's an awesome question. I really appreciate that. And I just want to say and acknowledge you for launching this podcast, for helping people become the best versions of themselves. And I'm just super honored to be here. And my story kind of happened. I was a football player my whole life. I was a tall, skinny, redheaded kid with not much self-confidence, and I really found my community through sports. It was the first place I really felt like I could fit in, and dedicated my life to that. My goal was to become a Division I football player, and was fortunate enough to be able to do that. And then after that, my goal was to get to the NFL. And the challenging thing that I realized was that my whole identity was wrapped up in who I was as an athlete. All my self-worth, the way to, meet girls, the way to become a man, all of that stuff was wrapped up in Nate, the football player. And I was fortunate enough to play football until I was 29 years old, played some lower level pro football in the Arena Football League. And that's what ultimately got me to Chicago. Crazy long story, but I was living on my buddy's couch and working as a waiter, and I just started training some people on the weekends in order to make some extra cash. And I'd never really thought of being a trainer as my own business, as an entrepreneur. And I met one of my mentors at that time, and he said, "You have a business, you just don't treat it like one." And that was the moment I decided to go all in and become a trainer, because I was really passionate about training, about fitness, and about nutrition, but ultimately helping people. So I did that in 2013, June of 2013 in Chicago. But what I was finding was that it was really frustrating that I couldn't help people actually change their life who didn't want to change. And that was very frustrating to me. And I realized that it was all tied into the mindset, because if you don't change the way you think, you're never going to change your identity. So I started to delve into that my own self on my own personal development journey, and ultimately realized that it was by helping someone change their thoughts, but then also bringing them into a community of other people, that you're able to really, truly change your life. And it's been a long journey, but here I am today living in Los Angeles and loving what I'm doing.
Honestly, that's so awesome to hear. Just the fact, first of all, that you love what you're doing. I think it's so powerful and it really shows. Another thing too, I just love how you mentioned like the whole mindset shift. We could do all the right things that we think we should be doing in terms of wellness, like working out every day and eating really healthy, but it really matters to focus on your thoughts, because those thoughts become feelings, and then those feelings become those actions. So are you guys ready to hear about this magical program that Nate has in place for his clients to just crush life? Of course you are. Let's do this. So Nate, you have 4 pillars to your program, Transform in 12. One is fitness, another is nutrition, and then the other 2 are going to be mindset and community. So can you give me a rundown of each pillar? I think we should start with fitness. What does that pillar look like day in and day out?
Yeah, well, one of the biggest challenges I find in working with people is that most people, when they set out to either lose some weight or to get more energy or to become the best version of themselves, the easy fix is to go to the gym and kill themselves 6 days a week. But the challenge is that if you're trying to truly change your life, you can only change one thing at a time. And they've shown through numerous research that you really can only focus on that one thing. It's just kind of like the book by Gary Keller, The One Thing. You have to really focus on that. But fitness is only 20% of the program. But the cool thing is that especially for a high achiever or an athlete, when you change your fitness, you start to feel better. You release those healthy endorphins. Movement is medicine, I like to always say. And when you develop a habit of that, it motivates you to change your diet, to change your mindset. And that's a way that you can really, truly affect that long-term change and create those new thought patterns.
I love that it's only 20% of your program. And also, I kind of like the idea of just changing one thing at a time. Or, sometimes if, you have a client that has really never worked out for years of their life, it's like sometimes just telling them, like, habit first, effort later. Like, I just want you to show up at the gym and move and start to feel good. And like, you could put in the habit later and like the hours later too. I think that's really important.
Totally. And I encourage people, like, if they're coming from a sedentary lifestyle, just to go to the gym. Don't even work out. Just walk through the front door. Do that for a week, and then start with, just walking for, 10 minutes on the elliptical or on the treadmill. So start small.
Oh, I love that. So what is your take on high intensity interval training? I mean, I personally love it, and new research finds that you can get results in as little as 13 minutes 3 times a week. And that's, of course, if you're training hard. I find it really cool, and I think a lot of my clients like to hear that, because it suggests that you don't need to spend hours in the gym to get results, right?
100%. I mean, it's more so about your heart rate than it is about anything. You have to get your heart rate up. If it doesn't challenge you, it's not going to change you. So high intensity interval training is kind of a fad right now, but there's a ton of science behind it that shows how good it is for you, because you got to get that heart rate up and you got to build muscle. One of the biggest things I find working with women is they're scared to lift weights because they think they're going to get big and bulky, but that's just not the case. So high intensity interval training is a great way to do that. The challenge is that you just have to move slowly. If you're coming from the couch, if you hadn't worked out in a number of years, you don't want to overdo it. So that's one of the hesitations that I place in front of people as well.
And you actually shared a really cool infographic on Instagram titled "When Women Lift Heavy Weights." And you're right. I think women think that, lifting heavy is going to make them bulk up, but that's far from the truth. Can you share some of the benefits of lifting weights?
Well, the more muscle you have, the more calories you're going to burn. So one of the best ways to change your body is to build that muscle, because muscle is 3 times more dense than fat. And that muscle tissue is going to require more calories in order to build it. So there's numerous levels of this thing, but the simple answer is lift weights, drink enough water, get enough sleep, and then relieve stress in your life. If you want to boil it down. Yeah.
Simple, right? So in terms of 20% of the program being fitness related, what would that look like if I were a client? You said that you don't necessarily work out every day, do you? Or would I be working out every day, but just a short amount of time?
Yeah, you should do something every day. But as far as spending 2 hours in the gym, that's a myth. You can get your workout in 20 minutes or 30 minutes a day, which is 2% of your day. And everyone has time to do that. We know what we value by where we spend our time and our money. And if you don't make time for something, you just don't value it that much. So getting into the gym or doing a workout at home, there's many different solutions, but as far as each individual person, that's going to vary based on where they're coming from. If you're an ex-athlete, muscle memory is a real thing. So therefore, it's much quicker to get that back. However, if you've never really worked out before, there's a little bit more of a journey to that. And that's how we sequentially get people to the place where they need to be, depending on what their goals are.
I love that. And do you recommend for your clients to just take classes like berries and yoga and things like that? Or is it more along the lines you actually putting together a fitness program for them?
Yeah, great question. I put together the whole program for them, but I encourage everyone to do what they love to do. Change in life has to be fun. If it sucks, we're not going to do it. Now, the challenge with that is sometimes we have to switch our associations with certain things. But if you enjoy classes, if you enjoy yoga, go do yoga. If you enjoy spin, go spin, because just moving your body is something we don't do enough of. I mean, they say, and I don't know who they is, by the way, but
it's so true.
But they say sitting for 8 hours is as bad as smoking cigarettes, and from what it does to your cardiovascular system, from your heart rate, all that stuff as well. So just moving, getting 10,000 steps a day is so key as well.
I love that, and it couldn't be further from the truth in terms of like, if you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. So choose what you love because you'll stick to it more.
Totally.
So after fitness, you have a nutrition pillar of your program. And I know that big things for you are to avoid liquid calories, don't skip meals, stay focused on what matters. So instead of all of these highlight words like paleo, vegan, keto, low sugar, eat whole foods and avoid excess calories. So what does the nutrition pillar look like in your program?
Yeah, the first step is it's all about calories. You know, especially for, I find a lot of my female clients, they don't actually eat enough. So when you don't eat enough, you're going to trigger your body to be in starvation mode. And that's why a lot of people can't lose weight. And then when you get your metabolism so low, your body is just in starvation mode all the time. So getting someone back into a healthy caloric either intake or deficit. So my challenge was that I was always told to eat everything that was on my plate. So I was always eating way too many calories. So once I started tracking my food, then I was able to really get results from that just by simply doing that. Now that's first and foremost. Then the second level of that is actually understanding your macronutrition. I always put my clients to start on a 30% protein, 30% fat, and 40% carb intake. And then we adjust that based on what they need specifically. And those are kind of the two basics. But the challenge is actually implementing something. Information without implementation never leads to transformation. And when you have all the information, but you don't do it, nothing ever changes. So just like you said, eat as many whole foods as you possibly can. The closer it is to the ground, the better it's going to be for you.
And I really love how you mentioned, you know, a lot of us think, okay, just eat less to lose weight or, you know, whatever it may be. But especially for women, I notice with my clients too, is the fact that, you know, they're not eating enough. And exactly like you said, it puts you in that starvation mode and, you know, they're wondering what's going on. And it's like, well, your body is supposed to be fed. It's like once you give your body what it needs, it'll start to just do what it's meant to do, right? Be that fat burning machine.
Totally. And that's what Natalie's key to success was. When we first started working together, she was only eating about 700 calories a day. And her body was just being triggered to store fat all the time. And once we got her back to a place in just a 200 to 500 caloric deficit, she was then able to actually make progress and start building muscle, which caused her to burn fat, which caused her to lose weight. So that was the key there.
And another thing she did tell me as well, kind of like what you mentioned with your program focusing on macros, you know, she's like, I wasn't even aware that I wasn't eating enough protein throughout the day. So it's like just focusing on, you know, having them look at their diet as a whole and being like, what am I missing? That could be so life-changing.
Totally. I always tell people, if you're going to focus on one macronutrient, focus on protein first. So get that 30%. And usually what happens is that you get the other ones are pretty close to where their percentages need to be.
Yeah. So another thing, I know that you've recently eliminated alcohol from your diet personally. So how has that experience been for you?
Honestly, a lot easier than I thought. I decided to just give it up back in September of last year, and I really haven't missed it. It was one of those things where it wasn't really serving me anymore. I wasn't serving my fitness goals, and it wasn't serving my business and life goals. And drinking too much, I'd have a couple whiskeys, which I really enjoyed, and the next day I'd be slow and lethargic, and it was like this constant battle of getting myself up for that. And then if you had too much to drink, it'd be like 3 days I was feeling like crap. So I just decided this isn't something that's serving this chapter of my life, my goals. I don't believe alcohol is wrong. I don't believe that, I'm judging anyone. This is just a personal decision that I've made, and I honestly don't miss it at all. I think a lot of times that we are programmed to consume alcohol and love alcohol, and I just kind of really thought about it one day, and I was like, this isn't something I need to do anymore.
I mean, I love that you said you're not against it, or especially that you don't judge other people who do it. I mean, I recently wrote an Instagram post too, all about just being sober curious. Like, I'm not completely off alcohol, but like I try to be mindful of like how much I drink of it. And it's like, think about like us in the wellness scene. It's like we're doing all these things that we want to do to make us feel really good. But then alcohol, like it might make us feel good in the moment, but it's like, wow, that next day, like I'm so unproductive. I have no energy. Like my mood is a little bit off. It's like, why am I doing these things? And I'm like, it doesn't even make me feel awesome, Totally.
And this might resonate with you as well, being a health coach and someone who people look up to, was that I just needed to practice what I preach. And I realized that a lot of times I was going out and just having a drink because everyone else was having a drink, and not being bold enough to just say, you know what, I don't actually need this. And it kind of comes down to like going out with friends and everyone is having pizza as well. Instead of me ordering something healthy, I would say, you know what? I'm just going to not make everyone feel bad because of this. But when people are looking up to you, you're being held to a higher standard. And they always say in business that, your clients and your team, they're going to do about 60% of what you do. So therefore, if I'm eating pizza or burgers or drinking like 1, maybe 2 nights a week, most other people are doing that 3 to 4 to 5 nights a week. So I realized that because I'm, looked up to and looked to as a leader, I need to hold myself to a higher standard as well. Because that's one of the things that I teach all my clients, is that if you want to accomplish a goal, you have to make it bigger than yourself. And that's what it's been for me. So
it's just like constantly making these healthy choices that make you feel really invigorated too.
100%.
So let's move on to the mindset pillar. What would you say your favorite mindset tricks are, and how do you help people or how do you like motivate your clients to actually stick to their goals?
Yeah, well, it starts with having a powerful, clearly defined goal. Most people don't get what they want in life because they don't actually know what they want. And I know this has happened in my life. At the beginning of 2018, I was looking back at 2017 and really upset that I hadn't accomplished what I wanted to. And then I looked back at my journal and I hadn't actually written goals down because I was scared I wasn't going to hit them. So the purpose of a goal isn't actually to achieve the goal. It's actually who you need to become in the process of achieving the goal. And a goal is just a rudder. So even if you choose, quote unquote, the wrong goal, you're still moving. And movement, like I said, is medicine. Moving in life, like it creates momentum in every other area. So that's first and foremost, helping someone craft and create a clearly defined goal and getting crystal clear on that. And then after that, it's crafting an unstoppable why. And when you have that why, those two forces, the pushing force and then a pulling force, they help propel you towards your goal. And then along the way, it's just accountability, helping shift mindset challenges, old filters and old thought patterns that aren't serving you. And it's about community and then getting around other people, because that's going to challenge you and encourage you always to be the best version of yourself.
With mindset being so huge, it's like that's like a daily practice, to really focus on, okay, how can I like tap out of these thoughts or really switch my thoughts from like a negative vibe to a positive vibe. So when you're working with your clients in this program, how exactly do you motivate them to stick to their goals?
Well, it like I said, motivation has to come from within. I can't help anyone who isn't motivated themselves. All I can do is provide a system, accountability, and a little extra kick in the butt. So helping someone actually discover that is the beginning of that. But like I said, it comes down to community and accountability, and then having that system to follow and to sequentially say, you know what, I need to do this, then I need to do this. Because most of us, we set these huge, big goals. Like, it's easy to say I want to make $1 million, but what do I need to do on a daily basis in order to make $1 million? Like a weight loss client, if you lose 1 pound a week, you'll lose 50 pounds in a year. But the challenge is we want to do it right now. We live in a fast food culture and we want everything right now. The media, advertising all tells us we can take a pill for this. And that's what we've been programmed about. So helping people get over that, that's how we accomplish that. And that's essentially what the mindset change is.
Something I personally tell my clients is like, don't even focus on the long-term goal of whether maybe that's losing 50 pounds. It's, most of us, I think, focus on how great that outcome is going to be, whether that be like weight loss or maybe a big promotion in your job. And I do think it gives you that initial motivation boost. But if all we do is focus on that goal, I think that motivation is kind of going to burn out. And I think it's because we're not really hardwired to care so much into the future. So I always tell clients to switch their focus and focus on the pleasure that you feel now. Like, oh, I'm really proud of myself for making that good food choice, or I'm in such a better mood for going on that run. And focusing on those daily immediate pleasures you get from doing those daily tasks and habits, I think that's definitely the secret to long-term motivation and success.
Totally. They say anxiety is living too much in the future and depression is living too much in the past, because we really only have today. And it only matters what do we do today, whether that's accomplishing a goal or how we treat people or whatever it is. It's like today is what matters. So what are you going to do today in order to accomplish that?
Yes. I used to be in this mentality of like, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow. When it's like, we might not even get tomorrow, Jessica. Like, let's do this. Like, let's go.
I mean, they say yesterday is history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why they call it a present.
That's awesome. So moving on from mindset, let's focus on that last pillar, and that's going to be community. So I know that you kind of already touched base on this, but what exactly does that look like in your program day in and day out?
Well, I mean, obviously my program is an online program, so that's my challenge all the time, is how to connect people, because community and accountability is what we all need in our lives, and that's what propels us towards our goals. So we do weekly coaching calls. And then I have a group chat where I'm on there every single day. We share our 3 things we're grateful for, 1 thing we're going to unplug from, meaning like, what are we going to let go of? Maybe that's an old mindset. Maybe that's a person. Maybe that's a bad habit or something like that. Just 1 thing. And then what's 1 thing we're plugging into for the day, or what's 1 thing we're going to go for. So you have to know what you want in order to break that down. And that's where that key is. And that's that repetition. So we do that. And then we're always open for, any group calls, any accountability within the group, posting into the group and things like that. So that's what really keeps people going. And the cool thing is in today's day and age, through technology, we can create that community without actually being in person. And that's the beautiful thing.
I really love the fact that obviously you hop on group calls and everything like that. And another thing is that having that group, everyone could just be their biggest cheerleader. I think what I love so much is like unplugging, figuring out like, what is it that isn't really serving me right now? And like, what instead can I focus on,
Totally. Because there's always things that aren't serving us that we need to let go of, and identifying those things. We don't know what we don't know, but when you're able to self-identify, like, you know what, I'm eating extra pizza because I actually just don't feel good about myself, and I, am actually beating myself up. It's like a form of self-sabotage. So letting go of that and then plugging into, I'm gonna, when I feel bad, go do a workout instead. because it's the replacement theory. It's like you have to replace that negative action, that negative habit with a positive one in order to truly change your life.
That's so smart. And I think that's so important to kind of just reiterate the fact that like if you unplug from something, you have to replace it with something else, or else it's just not going to work. You know, I love the community aspect of your program because I feel like it holds me so accountable. And I think accountability for successful, educated, intuitive people like us, it's not about needing a babysitter or, you know, someone to look over our shoulder. I think it's about needing people and health coaches and places and events to just really keep us inspired to keep doing our best. And the cool thing is that inspiration can actually come from everywhere. I mean, you could take an exercise class and meet new healthy friends there, or you could start a healthy dinner club. You can start a run club. You could sign up for things like a spiritual retreat or attend health conferences and even Instagram influencer events. Like I know your girlfriend is in charge of Unplugged, right?
Yes.
I just think like staying motivated, it doesn't just happen for any of us. Like I don't think it happens for me unless you just keep that fire going by constantly adding positive fuel. So I need to sign up for these health conferences and I need to take exercise classes with friends. That's what's going to hold me accountable.
And yes, I couldn't agree anymore. When I'm feeling funky, if I'm not feeling great, my solution is to always, number one, be grateful. That starts with my morning routine. Number two, find someone to serve. Get around other people. And that's the key, is like, that's going to help you get out of that. Because when we're isolated, it's always going to seem worse when we're in our own head. Because the fact is that other people can see things in us that we can't see in ourselves. But when we're isolated, we will remove ourselves from that challenge. If we unplug from that, if we don't go and tap into that, we're never going to get any resources to that. And that's why it's so imperative to have 5 people to you, because you're going to always be the product of the 5 closest people to you.
I think that's so true as well. I think that's why it's so important to choose wisely. I think one thing I wanted to say, you recently shared a post on Instagram and it was, who is your they? And they are people that are building you up or bringing you down. And you said, I want my they to throw gasoline on my dreams and water on my fears. I loved that, Nate.
Yeah, I don't know where I heard that quote, but someone said it and I was like, oh my gosh, I want my 5 closest people to be that. Someone who's telling me, Nate, you can do this. Nate, you got to go bigger. Nate, you're dreaming small. And that's what the gasoline is. It's like, helping me get to that next level, and we're all going to do this together. Because the challenge is that a lot of people, have you heard the story of the crabs in a bucket?
No.
Okay, so this is one of my keys I always teach my clients early in the program, and it's that if we were going to go to the beach and go crabbing, you know, collect some crabs, if we caught one and put it in the bucket, if you didn't put a lid on it, it would just climb out, right?
Right.
But if you put 2 crabs in there, those crabs will fight each other to keep the other one from climbing out. Now, here's the crazy thing. If you put more than one, say you put 20 in there, and one crab tries to climb out, the other crabs will literally pull its legs off and kill the crab to keep it from escaping. And so you actually don't need to put a lid on a bucket when you're catching crabs, because they'll just sit there because they won't want to escape. And what this is a metaphor for people. And the challenge is that when you step out and when you go to change your life, whether that's starting your own business or stepping out on your health journey or just becoming the best version of yourself, the people around you will subconsciously try to pull you down. And they don't even realize they're doing it. So you can't be mad at them. But they're doing this because you're making them uncomfortable, because you're stepping out and you're stepping out into your greatness and what you need to be. So it's very imperative to surround yourself with people who are going to throw gasoline on your dreams, because unconsciously those people around you are trying to pull you back down, because you're challenging them and making them feel bad because you're stepping into your greatness.
And even if your greatness like is out of your comfort zone, it's like it challenges you in the best way possible. And it makes so much sense that they feel that way, because they think, okay, now do I have to go big? Like, I want to stay small. I want to stay in my comfort zone. But it's like the magic happens when you are out of that comfort zone, right?
Totally. And by the way, like when I say your greatness, I don't mean making $100 million or becoming a pro athlete. Yes, that might be something for someone, but stepping into your greatness might just be getting out of bed in the morning. If you're coming through a rough time, I've had quite a few clients that have gone through or are going through divorces, and some days that's your greatness. Just drinking a little more water, just getting to the gym and doing a 10-minute workout. That's your greatness. That meaning like, what am I going to do? What's my mountain today? And when you start to conquer that, you build momentum in your life. And then pretty soon, all of a sudden, you're like, miles ahead of where you used to be. And that's the cool journey of life, is that when we do those baby steps, they become, big accomplishments over time.
Doing these things, it's honestly like a ripple effect. It's like if I have a really healthy breakfast, or if I'm drinking more water, if I go work out today, like it makes me want to work out tomorrow. It's really that ripple effect and those small changes that really lead to mighty success.
100%.
So I think to close out, something else that you've said before that actually really stuck to me was that no one is self-made. We all have help along the way, whether that's a coach, a mentor, or someone just who helps you get the results that you want. I think that if any of our listeners are looking to transform their life, I really recommend that you guys do check out Nate's program. I think, like I said before, it's really easy to play safe and stay comfortable, but to get out of our comfort zone, that's where the magic happens and the growth happens, and that's where all of your goals are accomplished.
Yeah, I always say there's 4 steps to change your life in any aspect. I don't just mean your health and your fitness. It's number 1, you've got to let go of your excuses. For me, one of the biggest excuses I had was that I had to do it all on my own. I've always been a self-starter. I've been self-motivated, but I was hitting a wall because I was depending on my own strength to do that all the time. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, and this is the shortest path to success in anything, Jessica, is to find a coach or a mentor. And I don't mean you have to pay for somebody. This could be someone who has what you want, someone who's gotten results in your life. I'm not going to listen to a broke financial planner, or I'm not going to take relationship advice for someone who's been divorced 4 times and is still single. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, follow results in your life. Then number 3, have a system or a roadmap to follow to get you what you want. And then number 4, the secret sauce is just find accountability and community. And like I said, you don't have to pay for all these things, but those are the 4 steps to get whatever you want in your life. Let go of your excuses, find a coach or a mentor, follow a system, and then get accountability and community.
I love that so much. Honestly, I'm so grateful that you were able to hop on this podcast. I think it just means the world that you took time to be on our show. Just to close out, where can our listeners find you, and where can they sign up for your program? And I know your fitness trial, correct?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook at Nate Forse, Forse, and then you can check out my website at Forse Lifestyle, Forse. My great grandfather changed it from a C to an S, and has caused confusion for the rest of us Forces. But yeah, and I'm launching also a free 5-day challenge to teach these 4 pillars coming up March 4th. So super fired up about that. It's going to be fantastic. Giving away a ton of cool prizes. I'm actually giving away one of my Transform in 12 programs. And then there's also a bunch of awesome companies. We got Primal Kitchen. We got One Brands. We've got another company that is a honey company. They have some really cool CBD products as well. And we're going to be giving away a bunch of great prizes and a ton of great information. And everyone's going to get a way to think, a way to move, and a way to eat every single day by being a part of that challenge.
Why not join this? And, why not do something good for you? Moving, thinking, eating, it's just focusing on all pieces to the puzzle to just become that best version of yourself.
You got it. And that's the key, is just take one step every single day, because you can't move a parked car, but you can't steer a parked car. I messed up my own quote there.
That's awesome. Nate, thank you so much. You are so inspiring, and I'm just so confident that all of the Foundation of Wellness listeners are going to love you as much as I do. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks so much for having me. It's been an honor.
All right. Bye, guys.